Welcome, everybody, to our last week of regular season competition here in spring 2022.
3,000 career assists, though. Poor Bjergsen there, cashing in.
No more habanero peppers. Bjergsen got 2 assists. The rest of the team finds LeTigress. The Mega Gnar is way too late to do anything that matters. And Han Sama's flash forward into the volley double kill means Team Liquid takes the fight, takes the soul, and takes firm hold over this game.
All right, welcome back to the desk, the table, the chairs.
The hangout.
It's just an area where we're going to discuss the game.
The carpet. Why don't you give the carpet any love?
Yeah,
You
welcome
just
back to the
ignored
LCS carpet.
Hey, what's up?
Golden Guardians loses another one, unfortunately, 7-9. Definitely makes their place in playoffs a little more precarious. Nothing locked in yet. Team Liquid, as you can see, moves to 12-4. So a pretty standard looking win for Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Standard in terms of execution, also in draft. This is like the most Season 4 draft I feel like I've seen all year long, where it's like meatballs, front-to-back team fighting, control mage, AD carry, boom, go, bump into each other. I was really surprised at how normal these drafts were compared to a lot of what we've seen this year.
I liked the draft specifically into Zeri. I think there's a lot of really good answers to what she wants to do in terms of slowing her down, making sure that she can't like dive the backline. This was actually a really nice play from Golden Guardians to kind of contest Herald. And they stayed pretty even in this game for a while. Like the gold lead was going back and forth by about like 300 for a good like portion of the early mid game.
Yeah, Bwipo's Ornn was super solid with player of the game. He actually had the solo kill, as well as just really felt like he ran the team fights. Han Sama, I think, had some good arrows. This was...
Immuning the Gnar stun was huge there.
Yeah, really nice outplay there by Bwipo. And then like these types of fights where Bwipo could just walk in. Before the setup to this fight, TL didn't have bot lane prio. They literally just brute forced their way through mid, placed a hawk shot, and then ran over Golden Guardians in the team fight. So like they really felt confident to me in this game.
It was something where Emily was like, oh, you know, there was an even game, Golden Guards were in it, but with their comp, I think they need to get further ahead. You would obviously take Trundle, Ornn late game over the Gnar and Volibear.
And this is when TL had Mountain Soul. They stacked dragons really quickly in this one and won kind of the important fights. But you can see, just like, look at the turret. Is it or is it not hitting someone? You can't really tell.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
If a turret hits late game Ornn with Mountain Soul, does anyone hear it? No. I think this was a great game from Bwipo, like you said, the solo kill, all that stuff, making sure that they were always even in the game, because he was on the weak side. Their bot lane was pushing in a lot of time. They got that Drake control. That was like a super clean win out of TL, and it puts a lot of pressure on Golden Guardians.
Yeah, and speaking of Golden Guardians, Emily, what do you make of your updated thoughts on their playoff chances? Because they're 7-9. We know it's a very tight race between them, Dignitas, FlyQuest. Everyone is still actually alive in this playoff race, and this is kind of their week. Coming in, it was a 49% strength of schedule, but like that was by far their hardest game. Did your opinion change on this?
So no, this was the game that I had them losing actually, and then EG and them I think are pretty even. But that was maybe some people would be surprised that was a game I did have them winning, and then I have them beating IMT to go 2-1 and have that weird like 9-9 tie. I think the things I still liked from Golden Guardians, to Mark's point, I do think they're definitely had to get ahead at certain times, and TL's composition just dealt really well with what they had. But I do think they have really good early game ideas, and I think like I'm glad we started with that Herald play, because that was a really nice move from them, knowing that they could go in and get that objective.
I'm pretty confident that they'll still make it in even with that loss. Even if they lose to EG, I actually don't predict them to do that. But with Dig's strength of schedule being very tough, even a single win for a lot of these teams with 7 is enough. Because Dignitas is playing the top 3 teams in the league. And so that puts a lot of onus on them to find an upset, because if EG picks up 1, Golden Guardian picks up 1, that can put them over Dig in the playoffs. So even right now, even if they lose against EG tomorrow for Golden Guardians, as a fan of Golden Guardians, you don't need to panic yet.
So top 6 make playoffs, and just me looking at this right now, knowing Dignitas plays C9, TL, 100 Thieves, knowing EG plays GG, I think 8 gives you at least a tiebreaker game. I'd be very surprised if 8 wins doesn't give you a shot at making playoffs.
It might not be an official magic number, but we're calling it 8. 8 is the magic
how
number.
I feel, Which means like even COG would be alive to be able to make it to playoffs.
If they 3-0.
Yeah, they're playing there's going to be a lot of playoff race stuff this week.
Yeah.
We're going to look at a lot
I
of
got my
sheets.
cheat sheet, which you can't actually see, but it's got a lot of information on it. Yeah, COG plays Immortals, TSM, Golden Guardians. So, like, that COG Golden Guardians game even on Sunday is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. Also, something else I'm looking forward to is Spring Finals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
It's in Houston, by the way. It's got a live audience. It's April 23rd and 24th. You can get tickets on Ticketmaster, but you can just go to lolesports.com for more information. Or you see that QR code? These newfangled things. If I held my phone up to that, I bet you it would give me a link that would point me towards a way to buy tickets.
You screenshot it if
Magic.
you're watching
Yeah.
on your phone already.
You could screenshot it and then go back to the QR code anytime. You could screenshot it, show it to your friend who also has a phone. They could look at the QR code. It would probably take it.
You guys just don't read QR codes yourself? I can just read that.
Yeah,
that
what does it say, Mark?
Yeah, that brings you to the URL.
Wow.
Yeah. Hopefully they got beautiful weather like we see in this beautiful scenic shot
It's a
of
big
NRG
stadium.
Yeah,
Stadium.
that's massive.
I hope it's packed, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a football stadium.
Yeah.
Normally we do like basketball or hockey arenas. A football
Yeah.
stadium is big.
Is it too nice to let you do silver scrapes on the stage?
I
too
don't
nice
know.
at the
I don't want to
Too
promise
nice
it.
at
I
a
don't wanna
football
promise it.
stadium? No.
Yeah,
We're not
okay.
going to go there.
Shifting gears, game number 2. Big playoff implications, Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest. And EG's support Vulcan, he sat down to talk about what momentum means for playoff prospects. Take a look.
Yeah, I think momentum is very important going into playoffs, and I speak from like my personal experience. The year when I was on Clutch and we made playoffs, we had like a not crazy run, but we had like a good run in regular season to qualify for playoffs because we were kind of trash and that was the kind of team we were, and then we were able to like have all those upsets and stuff. So momentum was useful there. In C9, when we missed Worlds, we had bad momentum going into playoffs, and then we missed Worlds after like the craziest spring split like ever, right? So, yeah, I think momentum is very important going to playoffs. Not that like it matters more than other things, but to me and from like the teams I've played on before, it always impacts teams pretty like massively, I guess. Big.
That's
Big.
Big. I mean, that's a bit of a tangent. You could really see the emotion from Vulcan there. I was actually looking back at 2020 Spring the other day.
Insane.
Cloud9 was so good. Like,
Yeah.
in terms of actual regular season performance, I don't think we've ever had, I'll actually say this, ever had a more dominant LCS team. Better than the 17-1 TSM, better than the 17-1 Immortals. They just blew people away, and then they didn't even make Worlds. So he knows more than anyone how much your recent performance matters going into playoffs.
I said this last week that I love when players are just having flash.
Yeah,
as they're,
you see
as
it.
they're in interviews, you could just see his energy like go down, being like, "Yes, momentum is very important."
Yeah, and strength of schedule is pretty important too. We have both FlyQuest and EG's strength of schedule. So FlyQuest this coming week plays EG right now, Immortals C9. What's interesting to me about this is even though like the actual strength of schedule isn't that bad, last Super Week they played the same 3 teams and went 0-3.
Yeah, and I think talking about momentum, that's a big deal. They are fortunately 1 game up on that 7-game clump that we were kind of talking about.
Yeah.
So we were saying, 8's a magic number probably for them. That means there's not a huge amount of pressure, assuming they can pick up that Immortals win. But for the momentum part, for the mindset, if you lose to EG, one of these teams that you're paired up against, and then you lose to C9 as well, and you feel like, oh, maybe we don't belong, maybe we can't really compete. I feel like given how the previous time they had the Super Week went, that they actually are very motivated to find a win against one of these teams.
Yeah, on the flip side, you see EG's opponents here, FlyQuest, Golden Guardian, COG. Last Super Week, they played the same opponents. Everyone plays the same opponents, both Super Weeks. But they went 2-1, with actually their only loss being against CLG. So I think, like, FlyQuest's memory of last Super Week, dark. EG's memory of last Super Week, they even had a 5,000 gold lead in the game they lost to CLG, so they're looking to make a 3-0 run. And I think at the start of the day, I predicted them to end the split in 4th. Like, I'm expecting EG to do a pretty good Super Week. Emily, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that CLG game definitely sticks out in my mind as one they really, really would like to have back, and also one that was very winnable for them. So I also think it's interesting to talk about this team and momentum specifically, because I feel like the most momentum they had was when they were on that run in lock-in, right? And we haven't really seen them find a stable footing since. They've kind of dropped games here and there. and haven't really been able to find like a streak to string together.
Yeah, and even just speaking of momentum, week 7, both these teams had like a pretty wild series of events that happened. We got some B-roll for that we can throw up really quickly, but like there were just crazy games going on for both these teams.
Yeah, FlyQuest was down 7K against Team Liquid. They find this insane flank to toucouille. Viego, you see flying in there as fast as he can, trying to make a play happen on the Predator, and he actually gets it done, and they find their way back into this game. On the flip side for EG, they had that monstrous game against 100 Thieves where they also fell behind and tried to claw back in. So for both these teams, like you're saying, the longest streaks that they've had is not super substantial. Like FlyQuest ripped off 5-1 to start the season, and then since then has been slipping down the standings. They want to stop that slide a little bit.
And one thing I will credit FlyQuest for specifically, yeah, this was nuts, is the fact that they seem to have pretty good mental in a lot of these back and forth games, right? Where they are pulling out like these insane team fights, and it's not necessarily where you want to win a game. You'd rather be able to snowball your lead early and kind of play it out. But in that TL game specifically, they really hung in there. And then this is just heartbreaking.
This is a heartbreak for EG. This moved them to 7-8, kept them with the losing record. I keep hearing that EG is really good as a team.
In scrims?
In scrims.
In scrims.
That's like the meme answer. Scrims are going great. But like people do around the league think that they are good. So it would be, I think, a big shock if they didn't make playoffs. But that is kind of the situation they're looking at. If they do not perform in the next 3 days, they wouldn't make it.
Well, and if they play well, they can get a second life in playoffs. If they can get up to the upper bracket by grabbing that 4th seed, which feels a little up in the air, that FlyQuest is holding right now, you get to rip that away from them. You get to get all this momentum about the people that you're probably going to be playing. And, you know, you might be able to steal a win in the early round, and then suddenly you're have a much easier path to Houston.
Yeah, and let's think about the team as well, right? They have the 2 young kind of prodigies in Danny and JoJo. They have the reigning LEC MVP in Inspired, which I think we're going to take a look closer at that today because we had Olive on the desk yesterday saying Josedeodo.
You got
it.
A long story on that one. I got it that time. Is the engine for the team of FlyQuest. And I think Inspired, if EG is going to work, also needs to be the engine for EG.
Yeah, I think it's actually super important that Inspired is communicating well with his lanes, and then additionally with Vulcan to make plays and really punishing. So like, again, if they are able to get an early flash, I want to see something that was really similar to what we saw from TL, right? Where Vulcan is roaming up to punish that, where they do have these really good contests as a team when they can get set plays, that they make cross-map attempts that not only have Vulcan and Inspired working together on top side, but then also Danny getting plates on bot side. And I think that's how they work best. Also, if you're wondering why we're talking so much, there's a delay on stage. So that's why we're vibing.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not because I want to keep talking. Josedeodo, I think, has been, when they talk about the engine, feels like FlyQuest sometimes needs something to go right to then win their games because they don't like naturally stomp their lanes. And it's about team coordination. And Jose can be that X factor who finds a way to get early pickoffs on the Lee Sin, win a skirmish, and then kind of accelerate one of his laners, which then they can play through. The team does play well from behind, even regardless if that doesn't happen, which is, I think, why they have more wins than people like us expected when we're looking at our power rankings top of the day. I think that their composure is a big part of why they find wins when, you know, against Team Liquid, you're down 7K. I think a lot of teams crumble there.
Who'd you pick to win? This is the only game we had different predictions.
So during the top of the day, I was talking about how, like, you know, I'm trying to spread my votes around a little bit. I feel like for EG, I'm still a little just suspect on exactly how they want to approach the game. We're talking about Inspire being a huge part for them, but what does he want to play right now in the current meta? What does he want to do in the early game? Does he want to be trying to play around JoJo and his pressure? Does he want to be farming his jungler? I feel like there's still a bit of an identity crisis for the team, whereas I have a lot more confidence in how FlyQuest approaches the game right now.
Why is EG going to win, Emily? Why are we correct?
I mean,
we have the majority.
Must be right.
I think in a lot of, again, we've been talking about like a lot of EG's games and how they'd want maybe some of them back because it comes down to a mistake or a draft that they weren't able to execute. I just have a little bit more faith in their early game. And I do think if they get ahead, they should be able to close out a game draft depending against FlyQuest, because like as long as they have those caveats in draft, I know I'm adding a lot of qualifiers here, but I think that they should be able to out-team fight FlyQuest actually.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping EG plays more conservatively than they have played, and I think that will give them the lead.
I disagree a little bit.
I think head-to-head, they'll be able to get ahead in lanes.
You guys can't even agree. See, that's my point. Why do you believe in them?
So I disagree a little bit, and here's why. Because in a few of their games last week, we were talking about how like hesitant they seemed in some of their plays when they did have leads, and I felt like they could have pushed them more, and I felt like maybe an EG previously would have pushed them more a bit. And I actually really like that aggressive side of EG. So I don't want them like YOLOing plays and trying to really push in when they like don't have vision or setup.
Do that. I like that idea.
I'm being told we're almost ready to go on stage, but while we're waiting for that, we're going to be tossing to a coach's edition of Lightning Round. So check that out.
If you could be a League of Legends champions in real life, who would you be and why? Probably Echo. Coming back in time looks really fun. Yeah, I'll probably say Echo. I like that ability, just going back in time. Making sure that I can redraft some stuff on stage, win some stuff.
It's gonna be Echo or TF. I cannot tell which one is better, because Echo, if you have the worst draft, then you go back to the timeline and then make a better one. Or TF, I don't have to wake up early for get to the compound, just start. I mean, teleport and then time rewind is pretty OP skill, right? Yeah, I will take that.
Your life is being made into a movie. Who is playing you? I don't know, the guy who played Harry Potter. The guy whose actor was Harry Potter, because I look like him, so then just take him to look like me and they would work in the movie, so yes.
Who's that guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine? What's his name? Andy Samberg. For sure. Not even close. If you could face one player in the world, who would it be and why? I mean, I think it's gotta be FLICKR. Although playing against T1 would be really funny too. Honestly, Tyler 1. I'd 1v1 Tyler 1.
It would probably be ThinkHard. We've worked together off and on through the past, and I just think I could beat him. You know, like he's a Rek'Sai player in jungle, so he's pretty bad.
What is your greatest memory in your LoL career? I think making Worlds for Clutch Gaming was awesome. No one thought we could do it, and we swept through the gauntlet. No one even thought we'd make playoffs, and then we knocked TSM out of Worlds contention, and it was honestly just such a great time to just have the players come together like that. Just an overall amazing moment.
What is the smartest thing you have ever heard one of your teammates say? Ooh, this one is pretty hard. Because usually my teammates are not saying something smart stuff. Let's see. I honestly cannot think any of them say something smart things. Pass for this one.
He's gonna pass.
I cannot think of a single time when one of my friends said something smart.
This is just like the most shots fired at all of 100 Thieves.
The man's a battleship. Just boom, boom, boom. Y'all are dumb as hell. Like what? Reaper, come on, there's gotta be one.
That's a really hard question, because like there's a lot of great pieces of advice I've gotten over the years. Like,
Azael,
really
what was the smartest thing that I ever said to you?
I'm only friends with dumb people, so I have no idea.
What was the smartest thing I ever said to you, Azael?
Maybe something about the butt twist. You know, that was like some Skarner knowledge.
The one Skarner mechanic in the game. You know what? I'll take it. Let's.
That's a dub.
Yeah, that's a dub. I'm putting that one in the dub column. Let's see who's putting one in the dub column between EG and FlyQuest. One game apart. Next door neighbors in the standings. Lee Sin, Veigar, Tom Kench, Twisted Fate, Karma, Diana, all banned away.
Are they next door neighbors, or is it more of like a bunk bed type situation?
Ooh,
top bunk, lower bunk. Because right now, FlyQuest is above them, so they get the top bunk.
That's true. If FlyQuest just jumps up on their bed and slams through it, it's EG that's going to the hospital. And EG wants to change that.
God.
Now, we've got the Nautilus locked in for him. Man, this has been such a popular support pick recently.
Yeah, it has. I mean, people are just really having high value on guaranteed engage. Point and click with DR. A lot of teams over the last couple of weeks kind of strayed away from that, and we're seeing some of these compositions where it's like, ooh, we have Thresh as our only engage, or it's a Trundle, or maybe you can hit an Ahri Charm. And a lot of those teams lost. And so I think people are kind of defaulting back to multiple forms of hard engage. Nautilus, one of the premier ones for that. Notably, Veigar banned out. Both of toucouille's games on the Veigar were really, really good. And also winning against top teams, winning in a way where he was the turnaround. They beat TL and 100 Thieves when he played Veigar.
Yeah.
Pretty good teams to actually take down, and he was a big part of that in both of them. has been very, very consistent on the champion. I think just overall, toucouille has been really tough to punish. That's one of the things that is so strong about him, is that he doesn't often fall prey to jungle ganks. He doesn't often lose his lane, and he's very consistent in team fights. It's kind of hard to find much to fault about him. Jojo, I think, is an incredibly strong laner, very aggressive. He gets a maximum in these matchups, but he has often been punished more when it comes to the positioning in the team fights in the later stages of the game. And that's, I think, what people are pointing at as something that he could maybe clean up.
Yep, so our first round of picks for FlyQuest is going to be the Zeri that we've seen so much of. Hecarim, powerful jungler, often banned away, but Josedeodo gets to pilot that one. Interesting response from EG, locking in the Xayah. This is not a very common champion right now, but it's very good against must-commit type of dive like Hecarim.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It's really good counter-engage. You can absorb that dive in. Hecarim ults in, you ult his ult, you dodge the fear, the feathers pull through. Plus, you can also just hold on to the feathers. This is one of the kind of underestimated things about it, is that if you are a backline carry, like if you're the Zeri, your Hecarim ults in, Xayah ults and just doesn't actually use the blade collar, you can't step past that line. If you walk in front of the feathers, you will die. So it becomes very, very scary. They're going to go with the Ahri here, third pick. So while it is blind, they can ban out some of the matchups that they don't really want to play into. Jojo, again, very good, aggressive laner here. Taking out the LeBlanc, I think, makes a lot of sense. Had a good game on that. Something like the Rise as well, perhaps you want to ban out. He has been his number one pick, has been something he likes to play through sides on, and I think fits pretty well into their composition. So be interested to see if that is going to be left up here.
And because the roles are desynced in the first half of the draft, it means the bans will be too.
Yeah.
Just like how you're talking about FlyQuest is able to ban away some of the bad matchups for their mid laner, EG can take out some of the matchups for their support that they think will be most useful for FlyQuest. That Leona versus Nautilus that we got to see in the last game. They don't want to allow the Leona to go over. Tryndamere now also banned out. They don't want that split push threat. And now the Rise, as you were talking about, that's the last ban for FlyQuest.
Yep, so Trin gonna be banned out. They can go engage supports here still if you want, but it's also a really good Yuumi angle if you want to just have that kind of supportive style. Yuumi Zeri, really good combo. Also pairs very, very well with Hecarim, so I would be a pretty big fan of that pick. Rakan, if you're going for that, you're not playing for lane. You know, this lane I think is generally pretty crap, but you have a really, really good engage in the team fights. Really good follow-up for the Hecarim. Now there's two forms of that super hard engage. That's kind of what I was talking about from the previous game. So we'll see what the last pick is going to be for them. Obviously saving Kumo's pick for last.
Yeah.
And what will they go blind? Is it just going to be like an impact Gnar? Or is he going to go towards a tank? It feels like he hasn't really been on tank duty this split. Graves as the option.
Okay.
So instead he's just going to go and say, all right, no matter what the pick is, I can kind of invalidate it by pushing, right? And that's kind of what Graves tries to do.
And I really like the Sylas pick here too, because there's some powerful ultimates to steal. Rakan ultimate can be very useful. Hecarim ultimate, just turning yourself into a torpedo and jumping into the back line.
Something I haven't seen, I haven't actually seen Zeri's ult stolen. Do you get the speed stacks and everything? I assume you do on every hit of damage.
So usually the default in these things, I would have to read the Zeri tooltip.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Because a lot of the buffs that champions get are
Oh,
like,
Riven!
Okay, Kumo's breaking out the NA special. We got the Riven top lane into the grave.
Oh, baby, let's go. Forget Zeri passive, who cares?
We don't care about that anymore.
We got Riven in the top lane. I was gonna say, I wasn't expecting a Riven, God no, but a lot of people are going towards some of these aggressive melee matchups into the Graves because Graves can no longer go Hull Breaker. This is something that they're gonna have to focus very, very heavily on. We'll see if Jose can get up there and get Kumo ahead to take over this game.
What's going on?
Jake from State Farm, the perp just confessed. I think. I don't know.
What?
Oh, can't afford streaming anymore, so here we are.
Oh, don't give up what you love. State Farm has options to personalize your policy so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Oh, that's great. Because subtitles would be nice.
For surprisingly great rates that fit any budget, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
Welcome, everybody, to our second game of the day. It's Evil Geniuses versus FlyQuest, and that last pick of the draft has to be on everybody's mind.
They might run into each other.
Riven in the top lane, but both teams grouped up as a 5-man squad here at level 1. Oh, neither side is aware of the other side. This is the best type of invade. Just give me that full 10-man bloodbath.
I was going to say, does FlyQuest try to clear out their own jungle? No, they're actually going to invade for vision on the red here. This is potentially pretty interesting. They're actually, wow, they're fully committing to this. Now they're trying to wrap around, and they're saying, ooh, maybe Kumo's in Tribrush, right? And if he is, you would never expect the 5-man wraparound as your holding point on that Tribrush, but of course he is not. It is not going to be any blood spilled here at level 1, but I do like the attempt. I have to point out, Kumo, pretty bold rune choices. It's not resolved secondary, as you almost always will see people take second wind into range matchups as a melee. He is going Transcendence, Gathering Storm. So this is full on scaling runes here, in the top lane as his secondary runes. He is, of course, playing D-Shield, but this is punishable. So we'll see what impact can get done in that 1v1. Because he's going to want to just try to keep Riven locked under the tower where, Riven, you win this matchup by finding aggressive trades, by finding the angles to really go in on impact, especially post-6, looking for those all-ins when he's vulnerable.
So I just looked up, I looked at the wiki, and I looked at the description of Zeri's ability, and it does not appear that the stacks for Zeri's ultimate are dependent on anything else in the kit. So the movement speed should transfer, I believe.
So Race Car Sylas is on the table.
Race Car Sylas, beep, beep, I'm a Jeep. We'll see if he can manage to break the speed limit or not, but down here in bottom lane, the 2v2 is already starting up, and it's Danny and Vulcan getting the better of him.
Yeah, we'll see. Probably not going to steal the ultimate, so it probably doesn't matter at all.
Well, at least we discussed it. We had to be prepared, Mr. Azael, and Josedeodo is prepared to go in after Inspired. Johnsun just skates over the wall. He's ready to join the fight.
Afro's almost dead.
It's going to turn violent. aphromoo jumps in and flashes back over the wall. Josedeodo is sent to the glue factory. The horse is gone, and it's first blood over to Danny.
Man, FlyQuest, they had the quick collapse onto Inspired, but you have got to consider the rest of the champions that will join. Level 2 Zeri, level 2 Rakan, not very threatening. Vulcan gonna have a lot more value, in that scrap, and really the level 2 Hecarim as well. It's like, unless you can get a 2-man fight and just take down that Viego, you're not gonna have a lot of value going forward from there. So they do end up getting punished. First blood over onto this Xayah. Danny grabs that. And Danny, I think, has been having an incredible year, is way up ahead in the total kills standings. I think he has been having a standout year. His laning has improved with Vulcan over last year. That was the main criticism for him last year, was that he's always behind in lane. It's no longer the case this time, and he is still very consistent in the team fighting. So Danny really developing as a player into someone truly special.
Feels great that Evil Geniuses can get that early money on him, get Xayah scaling up. This is one of those champions that's very, very scary as she goes forward in the game, right? Like, this is one of those typical crit marksmen that once you hit 5 items, it's like, all right, you're going to get shredded. Vulcan goes mid now, looking for the level 2 roam play on toucouille, but just as you were talking about in Champ Select, Isaac, toucouille is exceptional at absorbing pressure.
He is really, really good. And one of the things, I mean, this I think was a pretty smart path here, from Vulcan, because he came and he did a wraparound from topside, right, which is kind of somewhat more unexpected for the support roam. toucouille is very good at playing to his strong side of the map, playing towards that side where he will be a little bit more safe. In this case, nothing forced, doesn't panic flash, sees the hook's gonna go wide, doesn't step into it.
Now, Jose is ready to follow up. Jojo ends up getting baited into a bad situation, and it's a kill back over to FlyQuest.
Nice little counter gank there from Jose, but it's engaged on the bot side. Afro should just be able to E out. And yeah, I mean, they had full knowledge that Jose was there. Jojo, I think, felt safe because Inspired was in the area and actually was able to kind of push Jose back, taking away those Raptors, but Jose just says, well, you take the Raptors, I'm going to take your mid laner. Jojo goes aggressive, the charm lands, and that bought the time for Jose to get in there. Now, though, trying to look for the dive. Kumo's got to play around these Graves auto attacks.
Yup, trying to use the turret to block the auto attacks, but Impact's got a good flash, and Kumo is down.
That is really rough. Dying there with the wave at your tower. He's already down a good 10 CS, and it wasn't the jungle who took the kill. It is Impact. So Impact going to be way up on the value for this buy. Jojo, though, Is he gonna die again?
Base checks the brush. There's not a ton of damage here between Hecarim and Rakan, so Jojo's lasting a long time. Nice dash there to get away from the grand entrance. Jojo stays alive, but he's headed right back to the base with no TP.
Yeah, that feels a little bit rough. Gonna have to head back immediately. But you compare the buys, it's CDR boots versus the pulse-rated Dirk plus the longsword on top. So combat power, Impact way ahead, and that is problematic because Riven needs to play aggressive in these matchups to really have threat.
Yeah.
You don't want to just sit there and farm because Graves push faster than you, and Graves will just push you to your tower and harass you on all the range minions. That's kind of like what your goal is in this matchup. Every time he steps up for a range minion, you auto him, you Q him, you smoke screen him, you just harass him on that. We'll see what Kumo can get done. Still, some respect has to be paid because the massive amount of stats that are given to you when you use your ulti there, you get a bunch of that bonus damage. You get the flat AD as well. It's even this early on, 17 AD, so it is a lot of bonus stats, and Riven's all-in is pretty threatening, but if you can't find an all-in, the lead is going to get worse because Impact should be able to push him out of lane, I think, pretty simply.
Yeah, the lead's already 1,500 gold here, 6.5 minutes in. Evil Geniuses have their jungler around the bottom side. Inspired still not level 6, though, so going for a straight-up turret dive versus 100% HP opponents is very, very risky business. Back here in mid, Josedeodo's hanging around, only level 4 here on the jungle Hecarim. This is normally a champion that's known for being able to clear camps very quickly, but he's at 28 farm versus the 44 of Inspired. Josedeodo is behind the curve of the game significantly, and Inspired is now moving in, trying to take even more of that tempo away. Jose's got the smite, so at least he'll hit level 5, but his red buff is going over to EG.
And I love that he's just playing towards this invade towards topside. Kumo, though, getting aggressive here.
Not the right choice, I'll tell you that. Kumo at 100 HP. He's got to go home.
He's going to lose 2 plates and a full wave. This is horrible. EG just playing aggressively towards those Raptors because you invade topside, and guess what that does to Riven? There's no wards in this entire section of the map here, for FlyQuest. So as soon as you see Jose get pushed out off his Raptors, you're like, well, am I going to get dove? You got to play safe.
Oh, but a nice attempt coming out from FlyQuest here. Jojo's ready to go right back in. They're going to find the first kill on aphromoo with Jojo getting away. toucouille falls next. Inspired's going to reset City, but he can't quite make the full trip. Johnsun picks up 1, but Danny wants to get the counter kill and barely misses out. 5-3 game overall. They're getting scrappy.
Yeah, really big fight there. Jose trying to evade, trying to get something done on the other side because they, again, are falling further and further behind in the farm department. But it is going to be a tough one here. You look at this invade. EG was ready for the answer. Danny was already there, already spotted the Hecarim coming in, had the pink ward down. The whole team comes for the collapse. Viego just comes cross map to look for the scrap because they have the stronger 4v4 here. Inspired is level 6, Jose is not, and that is such a big deal. The resets from the Viego are going to be massive in this, and Jojo was the main target, but he stole the Ahri ultimate and just uses that to dash to safety while Viego is running wild in this fight. Would be a very different story if the junglers were even leveled. If Hecarim has ulti there, that's potentially a one fight on the other side, but that is the advantage that Inspired has given his team.
Yeah, and you can see total gold on the side right there. It's Impact and Inspired that are Kumo. 500 gold out ahead.
Almost passing him.
Yeah, Kumo is just nothing but pain and suffering here in top lane. The Riven is going to seriously struggle, because also, worth talking about with Riven, because last game, we were looking at champions like Ornn and like Gnar that have this ability to always be impactful with initiations.
Riven doesn't have that.
Riven doesn't do a thing besides damage.
Yep.
Like, Q does damage, passive does damage,
Just
W
do
does
a nice
damage.
little W max, stuns.
Yeah, just stun bot Riven. This is definitely, this is totally gonna work.
Frozen
Nothing
Heart
bad
is
could
the
happen.
move.
Yep, it's rough times for Kumo in top lane. aphromoo loses half HP as Vulcan finds the engage from the brush, and everything's coming up EG right now.
Yeah, absolutely. To be fair, Jojo is also having a rough go of it. He was barely ahead on gold over Kumo, but I do think it's kind of less important overall for him to be as much ahead. And he does actually have some utility with the Soul and ultimates. He can be a force of engage. You steal away Afro's ult or Jose's ult. You do have some pretty strong engage yourself. And Sylas, I just think, scales a lot better than the Riven as well. We'll see, though, what Kumo can get done. I mean, the initial death was already rough, and then when he gets pushed out, he loses multiple plates. He's going to be down a lot more on farm, and he went these greedy runes that did get punished pretty heavily. It's tough to kind of say, like, ooh, if you go back in time and he takes Resolve and he goes second wind, is he low enough to get dove? I don't know for sure. But I will say that's going to be in the back of my mind if I went Gathering Storm instead of Resolve secondary for second wind, because he was actually pretty close to living that dive. If he had a couple hundred more health, you know, I don't think can actually go for that play. And when that works out, it's just so rough from there.
Okay, we've got backup for both sides. The junglers are positioned. They are ready to go. But is either side going to take the bait? Danny's missing a little bit of health. Everybody else 100%. No Drake available to fight for, so you can't just walk away and try to take an objective instead. So, okay, everybody's going to back off. There's no play to be found here in bottom lane. Inspire to walk back up towards mid, throw the Hallowed Mist around the wall. Jojo and toucouille both at full HP, however, so there's not a whole lot for Inspire to do except clear out the wards.
Yep. It is also worth noting that Danny is going the crit build here. It is not going to be the lethality, which is gotten so popular on Xayah. It's almost always what you see these days. It's just lethality Xayah for these really deadly blade callers. People just, I think it's one of those things where it spikes earlier. You know, it's very, very threatening. This is more of like the higher DPS scaling build when you can get to the IE and get to the later stages of the game.
Random hyper carry type of build.
Exactly. And if you think, hey, all I'm going to be doing is like running away from Riven and Hecarim, you know, these kind of champions and just autoing them, then I think that makes a lot of sense. So his read may just be, all I'm going to do is hit a tank anyway. So I'm going to go for this really high DPS build. Aphro, though, trying to make a roam towards this top side, hoping that Impact would overcommit. They want to get a kill back because there's just no way to compete in the 1v1. Impact already has this mythic completed, and Kumo is miles away from his.
Boots, pickaxe, ruby crystal versus full eclipse.
Yeah. Which
is a very strong mythic for just quick skirmishes anyway. Like Graves just hits you with 2 bullets, backs away, cool.
And Kumo has no sustain, right? Like you don't have Resolve secondary, you don't have any sort of sustain, you know, in your items or in your kit. But he's gonna go in.
Kumo's trying to do it. Aphromoo coming in to help him here. Goes for the engage, the flash, the knock-up. Impact's trying to stand and fight. He flashes away himself, but he is still ignited. Impact stays alive through it, and Kumo's got the kill thanks to Aphromoo.
Nicely done there from Kumo and Aphro. Getting that kill back on the top side was absolutely necessary. They're trying to punish on bot side with the dive.
And I think they'll do just that. Vulcan gets away from the last turret shot, so it's 1-for-1 across the map, but toucouille is picking up some turret plates here in mid.
Yeah, almost a trade. You know, if Johnsun could have got that 1 kill on bot side, that would have been really good cross map for them. Still, not bad. Kumo gonna be going down, or rather getting that kill up for himself on the top side. Johnsun dies on bot, but they get the plate in mid. They deny some farm from Jojo. So all things considered, still a pretty good turn of events there from FlyQuest, but EG has just been outlaning them. They've been getting way more jungle farm, and as a result, they're 2K up.
Evil geniuses, man. Evil geniuses playing some aggressive League of Legends here early on. I like the fact that Impact tried to outplay it up there in the top side, almost got himself away, but unfortunately when the other guy has flash, it's not really going to happen that way for you, but still sitting really well, like in a really good spot up here. I mean, he's got, what is that, like 4 waves worth of a lead there in terms of farm. Jojo's going to shove toucouille back here a little bit. toucouille can't do a whole lot to fight back just because Vulcan would be there and he doesn't want to get jumped on. We do have our next Drake here in 15 seconds. Evil Geniuses with control over the bottom side. River to kick it off. They are down 1 Drake to nothing. Inspired will throw out the mist, move into the enemy jungle. He knows he has backup behind him. Smites down that enemy Gromp. So that does mean that we are going to have a bit of a delay on his smite, so Evil Geniuses are not super eager to start up the Drake without that, and they'll just head back to the lanes for now.
Yeah, or they think that there's just not going to be a contest, because it looks like he's just going to do it anyway.
Okay.
I think they do have the read on that. Jose's just going to go towards top side, and he hasn't been spotted yet. So, you know, if he can actually pull off a dive on top side, if you can actually combine and kill off this Graves again, it's not a bad contest here. But Graves is level 11, is actually scouting for the Hecarim, doesn't spot him.
Oh, but he was right there. As soon as he walks into the brush, Jose's like, nope, 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 nope. Horse versus a guy with a shotgun.
That's a natural counter.
It is not a historically favorable matchup for the horse. There are multiple VODs.
This is the worst Pokemon matchup there is.
Yes, this is,
The shotgun type.
Shotgun versus horse.
It's one of the worst types you can encounter.
I just now realized saying VODs for that is actually super grim.
It is. I was just going to go past
No, I wasn't going for that.
What kind of VODs are you watching?
I meant historical examples, and I was just like, oh, VODs is the esports version of that, but Then I had one of those, the Mr. Incredible with the black and white face. I had one of those moments, so my
It's
bad
one of those
that one.
crossovers where you're like, ooh, doesn't really work.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, probably should have left that
You
one.
can have the nice, like, happy crossovers where it's like you're talking about your birthday and hit level 16.
Yeah,
you know,
man,
whatever.
feels great, but no.
Talking about snuff videos of horses.
VODs of the historical matchup between shotguns and horses is...
Don't Google that.
Should have left that one in the drafts. Anyway, we're back here for what could be a topside river fight as we have the Rift Herald started up by FlyQuest. Josedeodo on that one. Stasis from Vulcan to keep himself alive, and he gets caught out. And FlyQuest immediately collapsed for the kill, 1-0. Evil Genius is now backing out. I don't know if they have anything to fight this with. JoJo's level 11 here with a potential Soul and Sylas ulti. Maybe they have a move, but nope, they're not going to go in after that. Or are they? It's aphromoo dying first as JoJo gets himself away, and Evil Geniuses have already found 2. Inspired keeps on chasing, looking for the stun and the damage. There's number 3. FlyQuest might have got the Herald, but Evil Genius has got the fight.
Yeah, FlyQuest thought they had numbers there, and they figure, hey, it's 5v4, we can take this, but they're missing all of their key abilities. Look at the ulti cooldowns on the right side of your screen. They have nothing, and you spent a lot to kill off Vulcan. So yes, it is 5v4. Let's actually track what all they spent to kill off this support here. So obviously the initial charm comes through, they get the stopwatch. Jose wants to secure the kill, so goes in with the ulti. The Rakan ulti is committed, the Zeri ulti is committed, Kumo's ultimate was also committed. All 5 ultis were actually spent there. All 5. You look at the other side, and you still have 3 of 4 ready to go. You have the ability to really combat this, and it's also very difficult to fight forward into Xayah in a corridor like that. You cannot follow up because Xayah will layer the feathers across, and no one can enter that zone. So FlyQuest, really getting a little bit too big for their britches, getting a little bit overconfident there in that situation, knowing they had the extra man, but not tracking cooldowns. You just can't kill them off.
It's amazing how quickly a good play can become a bad play in League of Legends. I mean, that looked really nice for them at the start. Get the free pick, get the objective after, okay. But now we're looking at the top of the screen, and I see a 4,000 gold lead for the side of Evil Geniuses in 17 minutes. That's rough.
I mean, it was about like 2.5 or something, I think, going into the Herald play, maybe 3. But if you get that kill, you take the Herald, you get a tower for yourself, you close that gap, get it down to around 2K, you're saying, hey, kind of comebackable. But they lose the fight, they get 3 more deaths, and they lose their top lane tower off that. Plus, mid lane power is also incredibly low, and very likely to go EG's way here pretty soon. So bad kind of going to worse there. They overextend on the play, wanted to get more, aren't able to do so, and it's looking tough.
Things just keep going from bad to worse in top side, man. The side of FlyQuest, what is that? Riven's now down about 40 CS, shrinking it down to 30 here. She farms up the wave that was crashing into the turret. She's finally got Gore Drinker, but when you look over at Impact, he's got the ingredients for his next lethality item, just needs to combine them.
And he's got tower.
Yep, there. Hey, there's your combined money. I think that it's going to be a second item for Impact on his next recall as he'll dash back over the wall and get into position as Kumo shoves out the top lane wave. When he sees that Graves isn't here, it's time to take advantage and shove this wave out as much as you can, because once he's back, you got to go home.
Yep, exactly. He's going to try to reset the wave as fast as possible. Graves looks like he's just doing Gromp, and then likely will move up to catch the wave on tower. He hasn't seen a lot of members on the map, and none of his team is on this side, so he doesn't want to show too early, just in case someone's in the brush waiting for him or something like that. But, for FlyQuest, I think they have to kind of continue looking for picks. You got to try to play through sides. I'd like to see them just continue to send Riven out to the side lane, have either Josedeodo or Afro just ghosting him, playing behind him. And when Graves looks for that fight, looks for that scrap, you try to take the 2v1 play, you try to get an overcommit and get a kill, because that's a way to buy yourself some time and get the Riven to a point where she can be relevant. Because she has got to be a factor in this game, or I just don't really see FlyQuest winning.
Everybody on FlyQuest has tickets for the struggle bus right now, and the bus is topped up, man. Gas prices don't matter to the struggle bus because it is ready to...
It runs on tiers.
Yes, it does. 5,000 gold's worth of tiers.
Yep.
In League of Legends, a tier costs, what, 350 gold?
Wow.
5,000 divided by
That's
that is... Like,
12 and a half or something?
It's like, wait, no, 350 times 2 is 700, 5,000 divided by 700, 700.
I'd say 400 gold, Mr. Flower.
It's like 14 and then some change. And with the change,
It's 400 gold for a tier.
is it 400 gold instead of 350? All right, I screwed it up.
It is.
That's my
It's
bad.
okay.
Okay, so yeah, it's
Tried
like
your
12 then.
best.
Yeah, I tried my best. I thought I was being cool with math.
That's
but-
what happens when you do math on broadcast.
Yeah, it's
You
okay.
committed the deadly sin.
I'm just going to leave it up to Freak from now on. He's the one who knows how to do that, not me. I'm going to say Scorpion stuff. As JoJo going after toucouille. We got a battle of the Ahri ultis, and it's toucouille saying he's got the real deal. JoJo's got to get back over the wall. Tries to re-engage there. If that stun would have hit with a
goes
Kingmaker
Kumo.
follow-up, now JoJo's going to die. The collapse is in, and critically, Kumo gets the money.
Yep, Kumo getting paid there. Johnsun pretty strong as well. Unfortunately, Danny is super strong. So, you know, that's always going to be a bit rough. But he is closing on that next item here. Almost has his Titanic. A lot of CDR in the back pocket here of Kumo. And, you know, the scaling runes are going to be starting to kick in. So that is very nice. You know, we pressed at the 20-minute mark. So he has 2 stacks of the Gathering Storm. You know, he has Transcendence post level 11 is always kind of that benchmark that you want to get to. Because that's where on Champion Takedown you get the 20% off of your basic abilities.
Yeah.
You have the basic ability Haste, plus that, so if you can start to get some fights, get some kills, plus a lot of flash CDR. I mean, he basically has the garage sale of CDR. You know, he got the Gore Drinker, and then it's Caulfields, Lucidity, Kindle Gem. Get those abilities to be really low cooldown. Look for the chase down because you need multiple rounds of abilities generally for that Riven in a 1v1 to get those kills.
And man, when we're talking about the items of the different players, of the different characters on our map right now, Guardian Angel on Viego is a huge one. Allows him to just dive in, fully commit for any of these kills, always be ready for a reset without worrying about the punish.
And that's one of those things where, to me, it feels very much to go GA second, you basically have to think that the game is going to be decided at like one critical moment, at one critical fight. Because if you're continuously scrapping, GA is just straight up worse than like a Death Dance, right? Or really any of the other options, because all of the power is kind of in that passive. So to me, the read here is we are going to fight at this next dragon because they are going to contest us at our 3rd dragon. They're not going to want us to get the Hextech Soul, and I'm going to have GA for that fight, and I'm going to be the difference maker in that fight.
Yep. Kumo charging up 1 stack of Q, their 2nd stack of Q. And where are we at, buddy? What's it gonna be? I don't think he's got a whole thing he can do at all. Dredgeline! Not quite gonna hit him there. Nice sidestep from Kumo to make sure he doesn't get hit, because if he does, I'm pretty sure that is a death with the follow-up of everybody else nearby. But it's still tier 2 turret picked up for free from Evil Geniuses. Now FlyQuest trying to see if they can respond anywhere else. JoJo under a little bit of pressure from Johnsun and aphromoo, but it's not like they can dive Sylas with just the 2 of them, so he's not that concerned. Josedeodo now backing as he was clearing out the enemy jungle, trying to get something around that top half of the map. EG once again in FlyQuest territory. They know how much of a lead they have, Azael, and they are looking to choke FlyQuest out of the map.
And it's just such a good way to actually play. You know, choke them out of their enemy jungle. Danny is so powerful in these corridors. I've already touched on it. So just invade the enemy jungle with 4, with 5. If they try to counter-engage, you have the Xayah, who is just going to be so dominant in any fight in that tight corridor. So Kumo on the other side, they're just trying to get something back. They're trying to fight away from them, but it is now over 5,000 gold in the advantage. Very, very tough to come back from. Kumo, though, should at least get this tower, so it's going to be some more gold in his pockets. And that gold lead will be closing quite a lot off the back of this. So, you know, down under 1,000 gold, still a big lead. But he does have his 2 items. He does have the scaling runes. So I think it's fair to say, you know, he's going to be relevant, or at least has a potential to be relevant on the Riven at this point. It's no longer just like absolutely getting run over.
And as you talk about 2 items, I do want to point this out because you're mentioning, hey, you expect a big fight around the Drake. And in our previous game, we mentioned how Zeri only had a Trinity Force, only had a Tiamat. Johnsun at least is at that spot with Trinity plus Titanic where the Zeri will feel better to play in the team fight. And he's going to need to step up too. Honestly, everybody on FlyQuest, when you're down 5,000 gold, you can't have anybody asleep at the wheel.
It's always just tough because you're like, hey, he got a 2nd item. Good job, pal. And then you look over and Danny has his IE.
Infinity.
Yeah.
Like, well,
it's like,
okay, I'm doing okay, but this guy's doing better.
Exactly. So it's tough, right? And Danny, I think, is going to be such a hard target to actually take out. And when he is this fed, it's hard to imagine them winning a fight without getting a pick on him. But when he has Cleanse, when he has Flash, when he has the ulti, it's a tough dive to pull off. You know, everyone else on EG is going to be fairly kind of tanky, fairly difficult to actually knock down, and Danny is going to be very, very evasive. They knock down the tier 2 here as well. They get that mid lane prio. Now they know Kumo is answering that wave, so they can move in and try to retake vision here around the dragon. Just trying to make sure that there's no sort of flank angle. That's what Impact's doing. He's actually hunting for the Rakan, hunting for any sort of engage that could be wrapping around them.
Alrighty, EG, let's see if they can get their soul point or if FlyQuest can stop them here. Honestly, a big team fight loss here for FlyQuest feels pretty damning for the whole game. So it
They
feels...
have to have a good engage from Afro.
Yep, it feels like now's the time. What's it gonna be? Drake's already been started. Inspired's not worried about it. Viego has plenty of sustain. The Drake is already secured by EG. aphromoo coming around from the side, and Kumo's already down. Jojo bought time, and the stasis is gonna make sure this fight does not stop going EG's way. Jojo with a second stasis afterwards, and EG gets 2. They get the Drake, and they get out.
Yeah, EG was so ready for that fight. GA on Inspired, Zhonya's plus stopwatch on Jojo, so he could go super aggressive for it. EG had the read. They knew FlyQuest was going to try to make their stand at that fight. They prepared for it, they bought for it, and they absolutely crush them. They're going to get the Baron off of this, and this one feels over.
Yep. When you're looking at things like this, I mean, you're going to get 1,500 from Baron, so there's your gold lead at 7,500 with a soul point. For the next 3 minutes, you've got the Baron, and it came off of this play.
Yep, it's going to be on the wraparound here. Afro trying to find the angle, trying to get him, but Danny was so fast on that ulti from the Xayah. So really, you only get Jojo, and Jojo just goes into double stopwatch. He was fully ready for it. Double stopwatch. He has the Ahri ultimate as well, so very difficult to actually take him down. The Riven gets focus fired out immediately, and Inspired takes over the Riven, gets more done than I think we're going to actually see from Kumo in this one.
Yeah, and we got to see Impact's reaction at the end of that one, because at the very start of that fight, when Kumo was trying to perform his part of the pincer attack, Impact just found him there with about, you know, couple slugs full of a good time, just took out half his health bar before the Riven even makes it into the main melee, and that's why Kumo evaporated, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot you can do against a Graves that's this fed, and now Evil Geniuses is looking to probably just end our game before 30 minutes. They've got the Baroned up wave crashing into the top lane inhibitor turret. Cannon minions, 2 of them, putting the damage into that one, even if nobody else can get close. Inspired bringing up the wave in mid to create the second point of pressure. Tier 3 turret dies in top, and the engage is immediately there to follow up, but it is going to be Vulcan who dies first, traded away for aphromoo. Both supports are off the table. FlyQuest will continue the defense now as EG tries to back away. Danny calls back the feathers. Meanwhile, the mid lane wave still unanswered. Kumo rotates over to that one now, as Inspired's going to be left to deal with him. Kumo jumping forward, looking for the Evil Geniuses jungler.
That was the ult.
And yes, he's used the ultimate. Now that Kumo doesn't have that, the threat of the Riven here after the fades away is going to be so much less. Jojo and Inspired both get stunned up. Jojo goes for the stun of his own, but he doesn't quite have the distance to land it. Minions continuing to put the damage into the mid lane tier 3 turret, but they can't get that one down in time, so EG backs away from this. It's a 1-to-1 kill trade, but damage has absolutely been done to the base. Top lane inhibitor is gone. Mid lane inhibitor turret significantly hurt.
Yep, and as you go reclaim vision in your jungle, you're going to find every camp is gone. They took away camps on both sides of the map. It's one of the worst feelings as a jungler when your team is losing and go out hoping to get some scraps. There's nothing there for FlyQuest to pick up. The gold lead extended even further. They go back. They're completing even more items now. Anathema's Chains here is the purchase for Inspired. And I can pretty much guarantee that's going to be linked to Johnsun, because that's probably the only way that FlyQuest could actually win this game, is with Zeri really popping off. So I think it's a pretty intelligent buy, but more completions coming through. Cyrilda's now done as well for Impact. EG closing in, looking to try to finish this one out. This is the last wave of Baron power.
Yup, exactly. They saw they had 15 seconds left. They wanted to just make a beeline straight for the enemy base and get some value there if they can. Everfrost not going to stop Josedeodo, who's trying to run around on the front line. He's already dead before I can finish my sentence. Evil Geniuses, 5v4 in the enemy base. Second inhibitor is now down. Baron may have disappeared, but the threat of the EG push has not. toucouille lands a charm onto Inspired, but there's no way to follow up. Super minions flow into the side lanes as EG sets up to take down what could be the last inhib in the very end of the game.
Yeah, Jose was trying to posture to kind of think they're just gonna dive.
Vulcan flash dredge line damns Kumo to another death, and now it's FlyQuest running for their lives. toucouille the only one left, and Evil Geniuses are ready to end the game here and now. The kill happens on the stairs of the fountain, and EG, looking to repeat Super Week success, are just about to put FlyQuest in the dirt. Josedeodo buys a little bit of time, but oh man, there ain't anything else to find. He might just die to the minions. He'll walk through the base gate and head out into the wild blue yonder as EG heads straight for the Nexus and a win against FlyQuest.
This is a huge win for EG, going up against one of their close opponents in the standings here. Playing this one out really, really well. Felt like it was in control, start to finish for them. Great counter jungling from Inspired. The early dive onto Kumo set him so far behind, it felt like he was not really relevant from there. It was very controlled. They get an early kill as well onto Danny, and it felt like Danny was off to the races. He played a pretty immaculate game. EG just had all the answers that they needed. Confident engages as well from Vulcan. You know, this is one of their major opponents that they had to take down, that they have to prove that they are better than if they want to be in the upper bracket. They do that, and they start off Super Week with a bang.
EG looking good, man. This is, I mean, we heard about them, Vulcan specifically talking about momentum before this game, right? Especially when you've got the extra day, when you're used to playing 2 days, and now you've got to add that extra. Okay, we got to make sure we got the strong mental. We got to make sure we got the hands ready to go for another day. Starting off with the dub feels so good.
I mean, that's one of the things, man, is regular season be damned, going into playoffs, everything restarts, right? So if EG are able to have a really good Super Week, if you can finish off, if you can have a 3-0 going into playoffs, your mental is going to be in such a good spot. You're going to be feeling so confident, and anyone going up against them is going to be pretty scared no matter what the seeding is.
Right, because, you know, you look at the seeding, you're looking at the past 8 weeks of play.
Yep.
Hey, some of those losses might have been earlier. Some of those losses might have been like a throw, like what we were talking about before against the game with CLG or whatever. But if you look at their last 3 games, and their last 3 games are just smack, smack, smack. It's like, I don't want to get smack, smack, smack. So now I don't want to play against Evil Geniuses. But Evil Geniuses just showed how scary they are to play against. And it's time for us to join LeTigress and the victorious Inspired on stage for the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. EG victory here on the day against FlyQuest. I am joined by Inspired. This was extremely controlled. What do you think allowed you all to have that hold on this game?
Draft gap, I guess. I think from mid one our plan was very clear and it was kind of easy to execute, so I just followed it, and the game looked very clean.
It really did feel like you did a lot with that, though, to be proactive, to counter jungle. How in line did you feel with EG when making the plays across the map?
I mean, I was just telling my teammates what I'm gonna do, and hope they're gonna follow me, and they did follow me well, so the game ended up being pretty easy. I think while you are playing like Viego against Hecarim matchups, like before Hecarim gets his ult, he can't really contest you because he has no dashes, and Viego is very fast with his E, so I can always play aggressive and get out if I get in trouble, and he can't really do that, so I just punished him. Then I think he died in like level 2 fight, and then from that the game was very, very hard for him to play.
Do you feel any stress, or the rest of the team as well, when it comes to these games, going against someone tight in the standings with a lot of playoff implications?
Honestly, today I was a bit stressed before the game because I knew that this game is like the first game this season that actually matters. I don't really think regular season matters that much, and right now this game was like very important for us to finish in top 4, and we did good, so I'm happy.
Yeah, first game that matters coming in week 8 of the regular season. Your performance did earn you player of the game, bringing a lot of confidence into the last 2 matches. I believe it's Golden Guardians and CLG. Do you feel any type of way about those and the level of importance they have?
I mean, I think they are very good teams like FlyQuest, but they are not as good as us, TL, and C9, so I expect us to win. But if the games are important, obviously. I think we are not locked top 4 yet, right? And if we need to win those 2. So they are very important. I will do my best to win, I guess.
EG on fire today. Looking forward to the rest of the games. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
Time for us to kick it to a break. We've got more LCS to come. Only 2 games down. We'll see you on the other side.
Josecita. Na 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 na.
Josecita.
Josecita. Na 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 na. Josecita.
But nope, they're not going to go in after that, or are they? It's aphromoo dying first as JoJo gets himself away, and Evil Geniuses have already found 2. Inspired keeps on chasing, looking for the stun and the damage. There's number 3. The Drake is already secured by EG. aphromoo coming around from the side, and Kumo's already down. JoJo bought time, and the stasis is going to make sure this fight does not stop going EG's way. JoJo with a second stasis afterwards, and EG gets 2. They get the Drake, and they get out.